Okay, so this is the same book, just several years apart, different editions. I just want to see the differences, and I thought I'd highlight them here. So we have the opening page. This is the third edition of the NRSV Study Bible from Oxford. Here's the front material. All right, let's see here. Okay, well, got a little update there. Here we go. So we still have the same editors, I think. Let's see. Perkins, yep. Yeah, so the same editors roughly. Fully revised 5th edition. Okay, and that's the 3rd edition. So let's see what's up. Let's see, here we go. Contributors. Oh, they have it better organized now. Okay, that's nice. I need to put some weight down. There we go. All right. Now let's see. The front matter. We have the introduction, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. We have the historical books. By the way, these up here are polemic, for those who want to know what that is. These are polemic, specifically these two, Genesis and Exodus. But then we get into law. So somewhere in Exodus it changes over to law. Leviticus, Numbers, that's all law, man. Deuteronomy, this is all law. These are rules. Then we get to the histories. And somewhere, either, I think it's in Kings, is where actual history starts. I think it's either in 1st King or 2nd Kings. Is where we get the Moabites. And that's where actual history begins. But anyway, so there we go. Then we get to the poetic, or books of wisdom. These books are not literal. These are poetry. That means fiction and hymns and psalms and songs. So these are songs, these are poetry, these are stories, these are literature, Job's literature. Okay? Then you get to the prophetic books, which some have argued that these should be included in history. Others have argued that these should be considered parable. Some have argued that these are actually written after all these guys lived, and these are later writers going back and having these characters tell the histories that they had just lived, the writers had just lived. So that's one way of looking at it. Or you can just look at it as that they wrote it as it happened, which that's pretty hard to argue, though. All right, let's see. Then we get the apocryphal and Deuteronomical books. Okay, and this is how they're grouped. So you got Tobit, Judith, Esther, Wisdom, Baruch, Jeremiah, Susanna, Bel and the Dragon. All of these are from the Roman, Greek, and Slavic canons. Then we get to the Slavic, but not the Slavic and the Greek, but not in the Catholic. So 2nd Esdras, 3rd Esdras, 3rd Maccabees. Then we get to the Latin appendixes, which is the 2nd and 4th Esdras. Then we get to an appendix to the Greek Bible, and that's 4th Maccabees. Okay. And one of the Maccabees is completely unfoundable. So, I forget which one it is, but one of them is just completely ahistorical. I just don't know which one it is. Off the top of my head. And then you get the Gospels, so you got Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts. Then you get the epistles there. And then you get the back matter. And the back matter has essays and study material. So kind of like the study material that's in front of the Catholic Bible, it will actually be in the back matter of the Ecumenical Bible. And it gives you textual criticism and how to understand, how to interpret, translation, all that kind of stuff. It's actually really good, really interesting. Cultural context. And all these are written by academics, so this is not really done for literalists, okay? So you're looking for a literal read of the Bible, this will actually just upset you. All right, so let's see over here. This is the one that I had before. I'm not going to go as detailed, but let's just see. So kind of the same format, really nice. As you can see, I've had this for a while. I've marked it up. I kind of like the menu. The table of contents here are a little bit better than the table of contents on the newer edition, but that's okay. Okay. I feel like this one has more maps now. More diagrams. Okay, so here's the introduction. Let's see if the introduction's changed any. Okay, here. This is the word Pentateuch, from the Greek for 5, penta, books, tukos, has entered English by way of Latin as the designation for the first group of books in the Hebrew Bible, comprising, and you get the list. Let's see if it's the same. The word Pentateuch, from the Greek for 5, penta, books, techos, has entered the English language by way of the Latin as the designation for the first group of books in the Bible, comprising. I think that's about the same. Yeah, it's the same. Okay, let's check out the intro to Genesis, shall we? So, here's the old intro to Genesis. Kind of basic. Gives you kind of the rundown, kind of the info. Here, we get the name. So this is like kind of a nice update. Tells you about authorship. So it gives you the why it's called what it is in the Greek. Let's see. See, over here, for those asking. Okay. It was common in the ancient world to name a book after its first words. An example is the Mesopotamian epic narrative of world's creation, the Enuma Elish. Okay, so it does get into all that stuff that I've been referencing and talking about. Okay, so authorship talks about who probably wrote it. It gives you the actual history, so this is not. It's not basing it off of a simple biblical understanding. See, only during the Greco-Roman period do we start to see statements in early Jewish texts that Moses wrote Genesis, or the rest of the Pentateuch. Okay. Okay. Talks about Homer. Careful readers of the Bible in subsequent centuries recognized the problems with this claim of authorship by Moses. Some verses in Genesis refer to events after the time of Moses, so it does get into that. It does talk about all that stuff that I talk about. And then here, it has it as well, but it's not as detailed. So, yeah, they've added a junk ton of study material. Look at that. Look at that. That is nice. That is nice. All right, let's see if the translation stayed the same. In the beginning, when God created the heavens and the earth was formless and void, and darkness covered the face of the deep, while the wind from God swept over the face of the waters. In the beginning, when God created the heavens and the earth was formless and void, and darkness covered the face of the deep, while the wind from God swept over the face of the waters. And gives you different ways to interpret a line, and it should give you all the information. It tells you what account it's from, why it's listed the way that it's listed. Okay. Over here is roughly the same thing. Let's see if it says roughly the same. The unit is composed. Oh, see, this is very different. See, here are the notes here. This unit is composed of two principal layers: priestly source, that also provides an editorial framework, and an earlier non-priestly primeval history that uses a different name, represented as Lord in the translation found in the rest, as seen in a chart. Okay. Well, here, in the older one that I was using, from the creation to the birth of Abraham, this unit is composed of two principal layers: a priestly source that also provides an editorial framework, and a non-priestly narrative identified by many scholars as belonging to J. So, slightly different. So the notes are definitely updated. They're definitely updated. It's very nice. Oh, see, there we go. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. So yeah, the updated version is definitely updated. Let's check out the New Testament, shall we? Just to look. Okay, so here we are at Luke 8. Let's see how Luke 8 works over here. So is it even on the same page? Let's see. Here we are at New Testament 110. Oh, and they did not renumber it this time. So this time the numbering keeps going. That's interesting. Okay. Soon afterwards, he went on through the cities and villages, proclaiming and bringing the good news of the kingdom of God. Soon afterwards, he went on through the cities and villages, proclaiming and bringing the good news of the kingdom of God. Okay. What's the note here? Jesus' tour and the ministering women. Let's see if the notes are the same. His entourage included the usual combination of male and female followers. Let's see. His message is the good news, the kingdom of God. Now let's say they added a line. His entourage included the usual combination of male and female followers. So it's roughly the same, but they've added stuff. It's all very cool. I like that very much. So there's the Apocrypha. Yeah, so that has a lot of material in it. Let's see. See, it's Second Maccabees. Also has a lot of material in it. Well, you guys get the idea. This is getting a little bit long. All right, so there you go. There's the differences between the 3rd and 5th edition. I like the 5th edition very much. Talk to you all next time. Later.